Running is bad for your body, but maybe not in the way you think. So don't accuse me of clickbait, just trust me for a second. What happens when you break a bone? It heals across the break and hopefully stronger. What happens when you go to the gym and you lift weights to grow muscles? You break the muscles down and they repair stronger. Both traumas, both technically bad for the body. So what do you think running is? You see, I want you to understand the why behind the curtain, so to speak. Why running is technically a bad thing for the body, in that it's a trauma, but also that it's okay if you approach it right. I feel like I need some kind of hook to hook you in, like all of the influencers nowadays are putting microphones on inanimate objects in order to make it interesting. So today, I'm going to give you the blueprint about how you can physically approach becoming a better runner, but also how you can mentally approach it. Being uncomfortable is the new comfortable. This didn't work, right, Jess? So, I'll put me down. So I want to introduce you to the cycle of bad to good. But I need to explain a little bit more about each of these points that you can see in this handily drawn graph so that you can understand the why. Comfort. Let's think about us from an evolutionary standpoint. Our body, its whole thing, keep us alive at all costs, keep us comfortable. That's why when we eat sugar, the body's like sends signals that that's amazing because it knows sugar is an immediate source of energy. It's why it doesn't like you wasting energy. So then we go and do stupid things like running, which is of course introducing trauma in the way that the body sees it to the body. It's bad. The body realizes, oh, now I'm uncomfortable, I'm not sure I like this. That's the trauma that we put ourselves through, and the body then has to make a response, in which case it sends all these signals, adaptations, improvements, muscles get stronger, heart gets stronger, blood can carry more oxygen, all of these improvements, just so it can once again be comfortable. And then guess what? The cycle repeats. And it makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. All our body wants is to protect us. But we're not in a place where we're like that guy that, have you seen the guy that got his eyes pierced out by a saber-toothed tiger back in the day when we were the prey? We're not there anymore. And what we need to actually know is how we safely push ourselves and make ourselves uncomfortable and introduce trauma to the body without tipping ourselves over the edge. So I'm going to demonstrate handily by doing it myself right now. Before I get running, please don't misinterpret this message. Running is the best thing you can do for your body. We know that, but the body doesn't realise, so it has to think something uncomfortable or bad is happening in order to improve. So using me as a guinea pig, I'm going to talk you through how you safely stress the systems, as in, you can't just throw the kitchen sink at everything and expect that it's going to be okay. You can't just go out there and go, do you know what? I'm going to be super uncomfortable, I'm going to sprint everything and expect that that is going to be okay, because obviously it's not. There has to be what we call as coaches and runners progressive overload. Can't be all at once, essentially, is what I'm saying. And today I'm starting the process of progressive overload with myself and my marathon training for Berlin, which is in like 9.5 weeks, and I'm starting a new style of session that I generally start within my build block, which is marathon paced efforts. And for me, it feels quite punchy, so I'm going to introduce you to the circle of comforts, as I call it. So the session that I'm about to do is a marathon paced effort where at the moment I'm doing my 3 kilometers easy warm up, then I'm doing 4 kilometers at my goal marathon pace, 2k easy, 4k goal marathon pace, 2k easy, and that should be 15 kilometers for the session. But here's the important bit. Here, I'm gonna I'll just put it as an overlay because my hand's gonna be going up and down, is the circle of comfort. I'm gonna have to attempt 4 kilometers at 3:45 a kilometer, which I think is 15.9-ish kilometers an hour. I cannot believe this is marathon pace. I'm only 300 meters in, I'm like, oh my God. This circle here was my comfort zone before my first marathon in London 2019, the pace I could comfortably hold. And you can see at the start of marathon training, my goal pace was outside of that. By overloading my body in a way that made it have to respond to try and be more comfortable, by the time the marathon came around, bosh. Then New York Marathon. More ambitious, need a bigger comfort zone. Plan ways to push the body into discomfort and having to respond. New PB. Same with Chicago. Changed some training up. We introduced new stimulus to the body. There we go. And now Berlin, the most ambitious goal so far. Currently, this pace is so far beyond my circle of comfort for a marathon, but faith in the process and consistency makes me hope that by the time the race rolls around...
So typically in a marathon training cycle, what I would do is, I wouldn't start with doing lactate threshold work, tempo work, marathon pace work, all at the same time. It's too much for the body. So I'm actually 8 weeks into marathon training, and this is the first marathon paced session I've done. I've done tempo, I've done lactate threshold. I like to gradually build things, like I say, progressive overload. Okay, so I'm halfway through, and even within this session, I'm gonna build as the weeks go by. Today is 2 lots of 4 kilometers at goal marathon pace. Next week will probably be 3 lots of 3, followed by 2 lots of 5 within this block, and then more in the next block. So even within these sessions, I'm employing that progressive overload to eventually make that, does that go there? Make that marathon pace go into the circle of comfort from outside. Okay, I've got 50 meters to go, and as you can see in the background, it's Mary's turn to put herself through the mill.
I'm so scared.
And that is me done. And the good thing is, Mary's going to give the same thing a go at her goal marathon pace, and she's going to talk about the potential obstacles that you face by taking the approach that I'm talking about, but also she's going to talk about how you overcome them. Always positivity on this channel. I don't know if Mary will be saying the same thing in the middle of that session. Why don't you just quickly tell everybody what your goal marathon pace is? Do you know the pace on the treadmill, like speed?
I've just looked it up.
Okay, what is it?
13.5.
Okay, which is equivalent to what per kilometre?
4:25.
Okay,
basically.
we don't know what that is per miles, but I'll put it over there. Oh look, Flowbird.
Okay, it's my turn now, and I'm going to talk you through some of the potential challenges or obstacles you could face when you're pushing your body hard running. First up, we often fear it, and it can be so frustrating. Yes, it's injury. Injuries can affect many runners, especially if you have a sudden increase in your volume, your mileage, or your intensity. So overuse injuries like shin splints, ITB syndrome, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, the list goes on. They can be navigated, but they can be really painful and really disruptive. So the last part about injuries is that they can occur when we have any imbalance or weakness. So running will highlight any of those weak spots in your body. But the good thing is, I guess, the positive spin is that then you know exactly what you need to work on. Okay, speaking of what we need to work on, I need to get into this. Back to the problems with pushing your body and running. The next one is deep fatigue or potential burnout. And a good example of this is what happened to Ben last year around the time of Boston Marathon. I'm sure you'll be seeing some clips now of the signs we could see when we watch back Ben's marathon clip. But at the time, he was working really hard, putting so much energy into building this messy happy and pushing himself in his training, in his attempt to get a sub 250 marathon, and it all took its toll. This one's super tough, and for Ben, he actually lost the joy of running. He felt really, really wiped out, in a lot of pain, aching, tired, and struggling. So he had to take a big break and reset, and it's a serious problem that runners need to be aware of and listen to their body for. In future runs, I'm 100% jumping straight in the pool afterwards. But for today, I'm just gonna sit here and finish my last point. Okay, my last one, potential problem, is weight fluctuation. So when you're exercising a lot, especially if it's new, you might expect your body weight to change and can be disappointed when potentially it doesn't. So your body fat, your adipose tissue, is going to release fatty acids to provide you with energy, which might mean you lose body fat, but at the same time you could be gaining muscle, so your overall weight might not change. And we know that running makes you hungry, so you could be eating more and you need fuel to run. So weight loss is not necessarily going to happen when you start running. If you already have a poor diet, then running alone is not going to fix that. That's something separately that needs to be looked into.
And here's the twist. Well, to your body it's a twist. There is no such thing as an easy run. Not the way your body sees it, but again, that's a good thing. And this is our easy but not easy run to explain.
But the interesting part, or I think it's interesting anyway, is how does the body look at this? Because I can already hear everybody watching this video going, yeah, obviously if you run hard, the body feels like it's hard. But what about all the other running you're supposed to do? Well, look at the run we're on now. I mean, yeah. We're on a little side project this morning as well. We're trying to find the best beach in our local area to take the dogs. So you're probably going to hopefully see 5 or 6 good beaches as well, but we don't know. Beach number 1, unsuccessful. Just a big building site really. All right, on to the next. Look at this. I think we've just hit pay dirt, you know, for our dog. Look at that. It's calm, swimmable. Oh, look at this stuff. And that's a good time while we're not running to tell you about why even easy runs, I mean, I wouldn't even call them easy. I don't know about you, but the fact is they're not necessarily easy. I mean, first of all, we got some heat training going on, but secondly, they're not meant to be like easy as in there's no stress on the body. It's just easier than our tempo runs, our marathon pace runs, our threshold runs.
More like easy on the intensity.
Yeah.
Rather than...
That's a really good way of putting it, because actually the body still sees these types of runs as pretty difficult, because although it's only a little bit outside of the circle of comfort, it's still outside there. So the body is still, even on this run, the body is still sending signals to make changes to improve us. That adaptation is still happening. So call these what you want, easy runs, zone 2, aerobic base. They're on the easier side of what running is, and they should make up the majority of what you do, but the body still doesn't view them as all the way comfortable, and that's a good thing, and that's the point of the whole video. Now subscribe to help us survive in this new life, and you should also watch this video about the 7 worst habits we have as runners and what the answers are. See you next week.